Hoy tengo como invitado a un gran amigo con quien tuve el placer de trabajar por muchos años en Bellator y en mi opinión es uno de los mejores comentaristas de deportes de combate en el mundo. Punto. Además de haber trabajado para las principales organizaciones tanto de MMA, boxeo y lucha libre en la industria, tales como Bellator, UFC, Premier Boxing Champions, la WWE y Combate Global, él comenzó su carrera de televisión en el popular reality show de artes marciales Fight Quest para Discovery Channel. En este episodio vamos a hablar de su exitosa trayectoria en los medios, también las altas y bajas en su carrera y sus nuevos y emocionantes proyectos. Así es que me da un gusto tremendo recibir en el show de George X por BrinxTV a mi viejo y gran amigo Jimmy Smith. All right.
Who is that handsome guy?
I don't know.
Who is that amazing handsome dude?
I found some
intro?
random pics on the internet and I just put it and I just said it was you.
Yeah. Any bald white guy looks like me.
In order to celebrate our long friendship, I found these gems. This
I cannot
random
wait to
pics.
see what you are camping up here.
Check it out. I mean, we were snowboarding there. We were in Venice there. Then Ireland, PVC on Spike.
Yep.
When you hosted American Ninja Warrior, you didn't let me into your locker there.
Kept you out. Out.
The tres amigos there, snowboarding again. We were in Times Square. We were in Ireland.
Yep.
We were in Florence, London,
yeah.
with Scott Hansen somewhere in LA.
Hansen, yeah.
You're joking, the social media guy, John Uggan. Then with Sean Grandi, Mike Goldberg.
Yep.
Dude.
That's us and Big Bear together. Yeah, man.
It's fun, right?
It's nuts when I think about it, man. It's crazy the life I've lived and where I've been and all I've done and everything. And you know, and sometimes too, and that's another thing, is that our business can be very taxing because you just don't know where your next meal is coming from, right? You have no idea. And so when you get down about things, you think like your career might be over, which I've had to face a couple times. And you just go, well, you know, it's been okay so far.
To say your career has been a roller coaster is an understatement because it's up and down, up and down, up and down, but you keep coming back. So what was the situation and what was the thing that saved your career?
The lowest it got was after the UFC. I was completely unemployed and moving out to Florida, and I was expecting my first child, and just everything at the same time. It was just everything you could think of all at the same time. And you know, I lost my house in LA and all this stuff, had to sell it and all this stuff. And I kind of started getting like, I was doing like side work for SiriusXM, right? So like when someone would be sick, I would fill in. And it seemed like I was working every day. I once did back-to-back shows. I worked for like 6 hours. Like I did, because they're like, oh, our boxing guy's out. I'm like, yeah, sure, I can do that. You know, and I would just hop in on everything. And I worked just enough to, you know, like, okay, there was some hope that I could continue working in this business. And then you, George X, got me a audition isn't the right word, but connected me with some people at ESPN, and I got that gig. So I was doing a show for ESPN International, and that was like the start of, okay, I'm doing enough that I wouldn't make more doing another job, right? Like, okay, like
you were cruising,
yeah. Like, okay, like I'm not doing great, but I'm doing well enough that getting another job would be stupid. Right. And that was kind of starving. So I was doing 2 days a week for SiriusXM, and I was doing 1 day a week for ESPN. And that was just enough to like get by.
This is a crazy industry. It's ungrateful. It's unstable. It's insane, very changing, but we love it. I mean, nothing compares to being at legendary venues like the Madison Square Garden in New York or the O2 Arena in London or whatever, you know, the Forum in LA, calling live fights. Whether it's boxing or kickboxing or MMA, it's so addictive. It's so exciting.
Yeah, there's nothing like it, and you know, getting to do that again is huge. I haven't done color, George, in color for a live fight. In 6 years.
But what about Combate?
I was play-by-play.
Oh, play-by-play.
Yeah,
I thought you were color.
No, I was play-by-play for WWE. I was play-by-play for ProBoxTV, which is my current daily gig.
Yep.
I'm play-by-play. I'm working with Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi and Teddy Atlas. They're the experts. I'm the host. And so color, I've done 6 years for MMA.
Wow.
Really
And it's been a full circle for you, man. I have here images. You started in Bellator. What year did you start originally?
2000, their second year, which is 2010, I think. They started 2009, right?
Yeah, the second year, season 2. And
yeah.
then you went to the UFC for a year, then the WWE, and then you're back at Bellator, and that's the first big news. I mean, you are back in Bellator. So are you going to be color? Are you going to be play-by-play? Are you...
Color.
Color. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like I'll be working with Dan Hardy a lot. They want me to do basically the overseas. We have Dublin, we have Paris, we have London, right? So like the overseas shows.
Yes.
And I'll be working with Dan Hardy, whom I know really well, and he's great. I think he's a fantastic play-by-play guy. We got to work together in the UFC, so looking forward to that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And then there's some of the names that you and I remember from our days in Bellator. So a lot of them are still there, and to go back and kind of get to know the new guys and the new product and everything is going to be pretty sweet.
I can't wait to see you working with Dan Hardy. He's a machine. I mean, he awesome. Breaks down fights so well. But also, if you have the opportunity of working with Sean O'Connell, I mean, he's such a great character.
He's great.
Man.
He's awesome. Yeah. So I remember for like Bellator kickboxing, Matt Mitrione was sitting there, and we were in tour in Italy, and he had never done it before, and he's like, "What do I do? And how do I do?" I was like,
"Oh, that was his first time announcing."
Remember touring? And he was like, I said, "Dude, be you, have fun. Yeah. You don't have to over talk. Let the play-by-play guy kind of drive the ship, and you jump in there with your knowledge and be fun, and that's it, man."
How did he do? I mean, was he just once he got comfortable? I mean, I'm pretty sure he was a natural.
Once he got comfortable, you can loosen. George, you know what it is. People over talk or under talk. When they first start, they either like blabber, like blah blah blah, they don't know when to shut up, or they just climb up.
Yeah,
you got to make them say everything, and you find your rhythm and you find your voice, and you end up doing much better. And I interviewed my boss over at ProBoxTV a little while ago. They want to do a segment with him, and I asked him 4 or 5 questions about boxing and this and that and da da da. And he goes, "Man," and we finished the interview. He goes, "Man, you're a natural at this." And I said, "I've been doing this."
Yes, it's not like you're a rookie.
Not, I'm like, wow, what a talent. He just did his first interview. I was like, no, I've been doing this forever. Like, it's my job. You just get better at it as you do it, One of the reasons why you left Bellator in the first place is because you didn't necessarily agree with the matchmaking or, the fights that they were offering. And I'm talking about the Data 5000s, the Ken Shamrocks, they're always crazy. And I was never a fan of Legends fights because remember, we would always go through this cycle.
Yes.
Of they would announce a Legends fight. People would react horribly to it, crap all over it. They'd all watch it, and then afterwards they'd all say it was fixed.
Yes.
It was like this, and then at the end it was like, "Oh, that fight sucks. It was fixed." And then they get excited about the next one. I go, "Well, we'd see the, I remember when Ken Shamrock fought Kimbo, and everybody's like, 'Oh, that fight's fixed. Oh, that fight's fixed.'" No, Ken Shamrock's old.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to do this anymore. And he went for a rear naked, and his technique was no good. You could see in the fight itself. I was like, this is, he still might have finished it, but he ran out of gas and went, F this.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a lot, George. You remember? We got a lot of those performances. Man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You remember Fatal Rampage, or Rampage was just like, just.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be here, And
the good news, though, is that I don't think that's the vision for the new Bellator.
Management doesn't do that. Yeah. And by the way, I want to give Bellator credit. They got away from that.
Yeah. Yes.
Even the last couple of years of Scott Coker's reign, they got away from that.
Yeah.
And I think they realized there just wasn't longevity in that.
However, for some reason, the combat sports industry keeps going back to those gimmicky fights. Now we see it with the rise of YouTubers challenging older or retired fighters, either MMA fighters in boxing or vice versa. So, your thoughts on Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson?
All right, a 58-year-old man should not be fighting. That's what I think. First off,
he's almost 60. Right?
Yeah. He's 58. God. Yeah.
With health issues.
Yeah. I mean, no fighter his age doesn't have health issues. The thing about it is the novelty wears off in a little bit. And that's the difficulty is, it's like, using nitrous in an engine, right? To boost it. Well, your engine can't run on that. It'll fry your engine. You can only use nitrous for, a few seconds before it blows your engine up. And so it's one of those things, same kind of thing. Used sparingly, all right, maybe occasional weird fight, the CM Punk in the UFC or something like that. Okay, every now and then you can throw in something weird like that. And it's not that bad. James Toney versus Randy Couture. But you can't function on that.
No.
You can't make that. It won't last. You can't make your bread and butter. Because eventually people realize that the only thing in combat sports worth watching are two relevant professionals in their physical prime. That's it. Anything other than that might be interesting for a second, but then after a while you start going, okay, I get why this person retired. I get why this person isn't doing this anymore. And so it's one of those things where it can be a little addictive because it works for a second. Once again, the nitrous makes your car go for a second, but it doesn't, you can't run on it. And I think that's why it's worked or why people go back to it, is it seems to work for a little while and they get addicted to that. Oh man, look at these numbers, but it's not going to lie. It's going to go down and down and down as people get sick of it,
Yeah, I agree. Why do you think Mike Tyson is doing it? I mean, he doesn't need to prove anything. I mean, it's just I don't know, the fact that he started enjoying training again, and he developed his passion for boxing that he lost many years ago. I don't know. What do you think? Or he wants to teach a lesson to Jake Paul? I don't know. I don't understand. Or just money. Is it just money?
I don't get it. It is the money. It is his brand staying out there, people talking about him and staying relevant. And you get addicted to that kind of attention, I think, is part of it. But, when I saw, Anthony Pettis taking on Roy Jones Jr., and I went, oh, my God. Like, what people don't get also, too, George, we're old. And we saw a prime Roy Jones Jr., and we're like, how is he doing what he's doing, That guy isn't there anymore. So the idea that, boy, I get to see Roy Jones Jr., I'm like, no, you're not. You're not getting to see Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr., after the second Tarver fight, was not the same guy, even the first Tarver fight. He wasn't the same guy.
True.
So, I'm going to see Mike Tyson. No, you're not going to see Mike Tyson. There's pre-Buster Douglas Mike Tyson, right? There's Buster Douglas to his retirement Tyson.
Oh, yeah.
And then this guy. And they're all three different guys. And you're not seeing that guy who destroyed Michael Spinks when I was, 11 years old or 10 years old, how old I was. And I went, oh my God, this kid's amazing. Larry Holmes and, his combinations were lightning fast, and the Tyrell Biggs fight, it's over. You can't reconnect with that.
It doesn't do anything for the division. It doesn't do anything really for the current state of boxing. Like what? I mean, there's not title, they're neither title contenders. I mean, nothing. But yeah, it's just business. And what's your take on Francis Ngannou in boxing? I mean, he had a great first fight against Tyson Fury, but then he got a wake-up call against Anthony Joshua.
Different game, dude.
Yeah.
I thought, and honestly, my professional opinion, Fury didn't take him seriously, and Fury was just kind of like, and it was like, oh crap, got knocked down, and suddenly it became a fight, and he's like, oh crap. I think Anthony Joshua took him seriously from the get and went, I am not falling for this, and crushed him. So it's one of those things where I think most heavyweights who, are professional boxers who put everything into it are going to beat Francis Ngannou in a boxing match, right? Just like, if you took, a high level wrestler against Francis Ngannou, is going to wrestle him pretty easily, right? Yeah. I mean, if you take, the best wrestlers on earth, the Adam Kuhn, who's representing the United States in the Olympic team in heavyweight, just crushing Ngannou. Like, yeah, that's how it works, guys. Like most mixed martial artists are not the best in the world at any one thing. They're not, right? And the current best at that thing beats them, right? By varying levels, but certainly beats them. And so with Ngannou, we saw that Anthony Joshua, when he felt like it and went, okay, I'm taking this seriously, which he goes, I'm not falling for this like Fury did. You saw the results, and it was one-sided. Yeah.
Speaking of taking someone seriously, I mean, Ryan Garcia, leading up to that fight against Devin Haney, his erratic behavior and his social media antics, do you think it was all a plan to deceive people and then give a great performance? What's his deal?
No. Here's the way I look at it. I'm going to ask you a question, George. Between you and me.
Yeah.
Pretend people aren't listening.
Yes.
when you look at fighters, how many have fought effed up, dealing with all kinds of stuff, dealing with drug addiction, dealing with injuries, dealing with this, dealing with that, and they find a way to win anyway.
Yeah.
We've seen it. So the idea that he won, therefore this was all some kind of joke. I'm like, no, I've seen fighters mentally ill, freaking out, and still managed to win a fight.
Since you know a lot about Mexican boxing, I want your opinion about what's going on with like Canelo Alvarez, because he generates so much like division, you know, within the Mexican fan base. Some people hate him, some people love him. So, I mean, is it his attitude? Is it the way he's conducted himself throughout his career? Because he's a very serious guy. He's a very serious guy, but he's very criticized by how long he takes to decide on which opponent to have and all that. I mean, it's a lot of controversy.
All right. So you as an authentic Mexican.
Yeah.
Right. And you and I have eaten Mexican food. You're an authentic Mexican. You're a real Mexican.
Not the Taco Bell tacos,
Not
the real
Taco Bell
street Mexico
real
City
Mexican.
style tacos.
We have had real street food. Me and my boy Becky's. He doesn't conduct himself like the old school Mexican fighters. Anyone, anywhere, put him out there. I'll take him on. I don't care how much money it is. I don't care where it is. He's got the modern businessman idea about boxing, which I get it.
Yeah.
I got a limited amount of time to do this. I'm going to make as much money as I can. If that means not fighting David Benavidez, who's the best 168-pounder in the world, okay, I'm not doing it. So it's this idea that boxers a lot of times think that way, but Mexican boxers typically didn't. You know what I mean? The Marquezes of the world, right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
Barreras,
Salvador Sanchez, Lupe Pintor,
right? Eric Morales. They didn't think that way. But he is like this hybrid blend of like, you know, he's a very tough fighter and he's got a lot of guts and he's really strong and, you know, he fights like a Mexican in there. But his business decisions, a lot of people go, oh, you know, Mexican fighters aren't supposed to do that. They're supposed to anywhere, you know, Julio Cesar Chavez, you know, anybody, anywhere, 90 fights, whatever it was. Like, you know, that era, this is gone. Like, I don't mean to, you know, so he's kind of more representative of, look, you know, boxers don't think like that anymore, you know.
He has more the business mentality of Floyd Mayweather Jr. I mean,
And a lot of people didn't like that. And especially, once again, Mexican fighters aren't supposed to do that. There's kind of this idea that the stereotypical Mexican fighter is, I'll fight you in a phone booth.
That's the name of the style. The Mexican boxing style.
Yeah.
Just head to head, toe to toe, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, but what's really funny, and I work with Juan Manuel Marquez, by the way.
In ProBoxTV.
He's on the Spanish side. And
tell him to be on my show. Come on.
I will. No problem. Done deal. Cool. Great dude. Anyway, starting in, I think, the late 90s, I would say, early 2000s, we started getting, dude, Marquez could box.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he could box
amazingly well.
Barrera could box. And so what's so funny is people still see it as, like, you know, Mexican style. Dude, those guys, they had good defense. They could move. This was not like, you know, toe-to-toe, take three to give one. Marquez didn't box that way. Barrera didn't box that way. Morales didn't box that way. Now, they could, right, when they had to. But this idea that, I don't know, Mexicans can't box. They can't be slick. I think that went away in the late 90s, early 2000s, where it's like, dude, they're complete. You know, Canelo's complete. Yeah.
No, like Marquez, I mean, he was never like really reckless, always with a plan.
No,
I mean, the way he changed angles and his counter punches, I mean, phenomenal. I'm very aggressive, extremely aggressive. So yeah, that's what I think the romantic boxing fans, that's what they miss. You know, I think.
But in a sense, too, it's a better game. I mean, I don't want to say game because, you know, but like, you know, watching Julio Cesar Chavez is always fun.
Oh, yeah.
But, man, when you watch Prime Marquez, you're like, man, you see everything in boxing right there. Like his defense, his counters, as you were saying, his timing, you know, everything's there. His footwork, everything's there.
True.
You know, I think it's a fun way to look at the sport, man. It's a lot of fun to watch, to me, modern Mexican boxers who are, you know, as we say, boxer punchers. Right? They can box, but, man, when they hit, they can put you down.
I was so impressed when you made your debut at Monday Raw with the WWE because not only you were making your debut as a play-by-play commentator in a highly rated show but also in a new sport. And I was a nervous wreck. I was so nervous before you went on air, and you were like fresh as a cucumber. How do you do it?
I'm faking it because I was stressed out that day. I was stressed
were you?
out. Yeah, that was one of the few times I was like stressed out because I about combat sports, I don't feel that. You know, about a completely new form of entertainment I never worked in before, and it's just a really stressful place. And their rundown format, whatever you want to call it, is just is meaningless because it never they'll give you one and it doesn't end up. None of it ends up being. You know, they change everything. So the environment itself is just really super duper challenging. So it was just really hard to do. Like, it just was. And I kind of got through it.
I mean, today you're a combat sports broadcasting household name. I mean, you're very well known. And in my opinion, you're one of the most well-rounded and talented sports announcers. And I'm not saying that because you're my friend. Everything started with Fight Quest. Your TV journey started in Fight Quest, and I know that it comes up all the time. People still remembers that show, and they still ask you about it. So if people don't know about the show, I mean, it was a kind of like an adventure where you and your co-host Doug traveled around the world trying out different martial arts styles. So how did you find out about that show? Because I understand that before that show, a TV career was not in the picture, right?
A teammate of mine heard about this show. They were putting out feelers for auditions. Hey, there's a travel martial arts show where you go around to different countries. Give this producer in New York a call. That's what I got from my instructor. Was like, hey, this guy, one of our teammates said that they're doing this thing here. Give him a call. All right. Gave him a call, talked to her on the phone. She goes, man, you sound great. We're figuring out where to do the auditions for the show. And my instructor at the time offered to let us use their gym as a basically a place to do the audition. So I went in there with a bunch of other fighters. I knew all of them. They're all local guys. And I did an audition, and in about 2 minutes, they didn't talk to anybody else. They just talked to me. And so I did this audition and like everybody else, and what I had done is my degree is in history. And so what I did is I just researched all these places, all these historical places that were in the countries where these martial arts took place. And so what I did is that they kind of pointed the camera at you and they go, okay, go, like, show me, something. And what I did is I said, I'm in front of this temple in Thailand. It's 2,000 years old. It's called this, and this. This is where they had traditional Muay Thai fights. Here, I'm going to show you the basics. And the guy just went,
oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then Sambo, I pretended I was in front of the Hermitage, which is now a museum. My degree is mostly Russian history. And so I said, hey, we're in front of the Hermitage Museum, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to show you Sambo, which is a military style that started, it's mostly leg locks. They have some chokes, but it's almost a judo with leg locks involved. And they all went, okay, cool. And like, so I was walking in my car, and the producer comes up to me, and he goes, as much as I can tell you, you got it, you got it.
But doing it, people keep telling you, oh, would you do another? Like, it was brutal. I mean, the show was actually brutal.
Yeah, I would help somebody else do it.
Yes.
If they want to find some other kids that want to go around the world and get beat up, fine. But what it did physically, and also, like, we only had 5 days of real training. That wasn't a joke. We had 5 days of real training. So your body just doesn't have time to adjust to anything. So I remember training in Mexico City and going, man, I'm really tired.
Yeah.
And they went, yeah, you're at, like,
the altitude,
4,500 feet. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like, over 2,000 meters above sea level.
Yeah. It was nuts where we were. Yeah, it was,
Let's do a quick Fight Quest quiz before. Well, it's not a quiz. I mean, like just rapid fire questions before we wrap up. So,
Love it.
Your favorite location?
Oh my God, that's tough. Oh my God, that's so much fun. My favorite location. God, I had fun in Tokyo.
Oh, Tokyo.
Was sweet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Karate?
I had a great time there.
Was that karate?
That was Kyokushin karate, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had a great time.
Nice.
So fun. Love Tokyo.
toughest shoot. I think I know which shoot was that, but maybe I don't know. Maybe
Israel, big time because
yeah, it's a Krav Maga.
Yeah, Krav Maga because like they had me spar with this gigantic dude named Manesh, and they're like, oh, you can't check any of the kicks, and you just kick the legs out from under.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Like they would just put you through stuff like.
I thought that it was gonna be the. Oh no! I'm gonna leave that one. Okay. So that was the toughest shoot.
I would say yeah.
The worst food.
Oh, the worst food.
Yes.
Wow, because we had pretty good food everywhere.
Yeah, and I know you're like a garbage disposal.
And
you
I'm like
anything.
You know that. I'm like a garbage.
But garbage disposal. I mean, what was like something that? Oh no, this is not for me.
Well, I ate balut in the Philippines, but I liked it.
What is it?
Egg. It's like a duck egg, but it's like a fertilized duck egg, and there's like a little duck in there.
Like an unborn egg.
Yeah,
I mean like a chicken. Oh, that's
duck. Yeah.
Oh,
so good, so good. So the worst food, like the food is really good.
I mean,
the worst food, I guess, would be in the United States. I guess because everywhere we went, the food was really fantastic.
Not In-N-Out.
Oh man, In-N-Out's
In-N-Out's the best.
Yeah, we did a show in San Jose, so it's probably San Jose. Yeah.
Your best fight.
My best fight. Man, the boxing in Mexico City was really cool. And the Kumite in Japan where I fought 5 guys in a row in Kyokushin karate, that was a lot of fun.
Jesus, 5 in a row.
The last guy was a heavyweight champion. He was huge. He was gigantic. He's like 250. Yeah. But that was fun. I like that a lot. Yeah.
And this one, I think I know the answer, but the hardest kick or shot you ever received.
Wow. I would say training stick fighting in Manila when a guy cracked me in the hip with the stick, and I had this huge bruise all over my side. He cracked me so hard with that stick, and that was in training. That wasn't even in the final fight. It was one of my training partners cracked me with that stick really hard. And then in Japan, in the Kumite, the last guy, the heavyweight champ, he hit me.
What about the liver shot in France?
Well, that was awful.
The Savat.
That was awful.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought that was
one out of my brain.
At the top of the list.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever been dropped in sparring ever.
Really?
Ever in my whole life.
Even I mean, because people should remember you are a professional fighter. I mean, and you retired undefeated, right?
No, 6-1. I had one loss.
6-1.
I lost by decision. But there's a story, by the way, to the France thing. Is we were done sparring. Mm-hmm. We had sparred 25 minutes, me and that guy. And I was super tight, right? And I was like, because he's good, and my defense was good. And then he goes, all right, last round, we're just going to move around a little bit.
Yeah.
And I went, okay. So we started moving around, and he kicked me right in the head.
Oh, cheap shot.
Cheap shot, man. So that's what bugged me, too, about the whole thing is to be honest, what I think they wanted footage of me getting knocked down. Mm-hmm. And in the 25 minutes we sparred, he couldn't do it. You couldn't do it, and when I'm really sparring and I'm really tight and I'm not letting anybody, you're better than me, but it doesn't mean you're going to beat me up. And they couldn't get that shot. Yeah. I think the producers were like, hey, see if he knocked Jimmy down and we can get a shot of him getting knocked down. And I think he tried for 25 minutes and he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so he goes, all right, let's just move around a little bit. And I'm okay. Boom. And he
boom.
Me right in the goddamn liver. And it's the kind of thing where in sparring, you don't do that. You're a dick.
Yeah, it's against fighting etiquette.
Yes, 100%. So it was a great shot, and it looked cool on the show, and all this stuff, and blah blah. And I'm like, all right, but that's one of those that happened, in a gym where I'm not filming a TV show. You got a problem.
Fascinating.
You got a big problem. So that's why.
What was the most difficult style to learn or to adapt to?
I would say stick fighting. I never done anything like that in my life.
Is that how is it called? The Filipino.
Kali Eskrima.
Yeah, Kali Eskrima.
Or Arnis too, is another style. And I never done anything like that ever. So, dude, when we first started, I was dropping the stick and flip. And every time when I dropped stick, I had to do push-ups. So I'm like doing all these push-ups, and then we do this thing. And I drop sticks like, it's 10 more, and I was like, so I got big. I kept doing push-ups, but the stick fighting, anything weapons oriented, and I'm, when I was in China doing kung fu and I was doing the staff stuff. Well, I had never been in a style that did any of that stuff. I wasn't in a style that had any weapon stuff. So I'm okay with a knife, but beyond that, I never worked with any of this stuff. So it was really challenging, but really a lot of fun at the end too.
What do you think was the most effective asset that you had when matching up with these other martial artists?
I had been fighting professionally. So it was one of those things where you just go, look, a beating doesn't scare me. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't, I don't, having the mentality of, hey, dude, I'm going to fight you. And someone's going down and that's it. And it doesn't bug me. So, because a lot of them had been training in that style for a while. A guy, when we were in Malaysia doing Pencak Silat, he tried to kind of mad dog me.
Oh.
Like he's getting his stuff on or he's looking at me.
Getting in your head, playing mind games?
Well, the guy had done that to Doug. Right? So he's looking at Doug, and this was a big dude. And Doug, he's staring at Doug, and Doug's kind of like, oh, shit. And then he does the same thing to me, and I just look at him like,
yeah. You found your match.
And then he kind of goes, okay. Like, he knew it wasn't working. Like, you don't scare me, dude. I've been through this too many times. You don't bother me,
Yeah.
And so it's just a mentality of like,
okay,
yeah,
you're a fighter. So yeah. So you were not scared of the obvious, which was, fighting. But what was your biggest fear, when shooting the series?
Honestly, kind of just getting humiliated. More than
the
that.
honor,
like,
the pride.
Yeah, because I cannot know as much as I don't know what this savant person knows, right? Who's been doing it their whole life. I've been doing this 5 days. But it's going out there and not performing and not, showing that I've learned something was the part that bothered me more than anything. It wasn't about winning or losing necessarily.
Very interesting.
And
and finally, the biggest lesson you learned from Fight Quest.
People do martial arts for all different kinds of reasons. And the idea that this style works, this style doesn't work. Dude, most people don't know anything. And knowing something makes you more dangerous than someone who knows nothing. But the idea that like going around all these different styles, it was some were fighters, some weren't fighters, some wanted, be in shape. Other people, it was a spiritual thing or so the people, we tend to like put everything in combat sports or fighting. And it's like, some people get in martial arts for all different kinds of reasons. And your reason isn't their reason. Their reason isn't your reason. You have to respect all their different reasons for getting into it. That's what I learned from that, for sure.
Wow, so fascinating. And the show was amazing. It was an incredible adventure. Para disfrutar el capítulo completo, abre una cuenta totalmente gratis en BrinxTV y empieza a acumular BrinxBox para canjearlos por productos oficiales del programa.